So once again, good evening and welcome to our PTA meeting, first general membership meeting for the 2021-22 school year. My name is Ken Balbuena and I'm the PTA president this year. We're very excited to have all of you joining us, and we've got lots of stuff to cover tonight, but the main topic, of course, is going to be Q&A. These are our principal and our assistant principal. So let me go ahead and throw up really quickly the agenda for today, what we're going to be talking about. So, all right, so first thing we're going to be talking about is just doing a welcome. We're going to be doing some introductions of officers so that you know who your PTA officers are. We're going to be looking, reminding everybody to join the back to school night videos and meetings moving forward. So tonight is going to be a completely virtual meeting, but eventually it'll be hybrid with both in-person as well as virtual. We're going to look over a recap of what we did last year and preview what we're going to be doing this year, assuming that all goes well. We've got an audit report and a budget approval that we'll be talking about this evening. The other officers will be reporting back on their respective committees. And then we've got our main topic, so updates from the administration. Just some upcoming events that we've got. There's a family science night on October 28th, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then, of course, our next membership meeting will be October 12th. And all of our meetings are going to be the second Tuesday of every month. Okay, so that said, let's go ahead and get into the introduction. So again, as you heard, my name is Ken Balbuena, and I'm the PTA president. So let's go round robin here. Who I've got? Okay, Amy, I got you up next.
Hi, I'm Amy Mahoney. I am the PTA treasurer. This is my second year on the job. I'm also a substitute teacher at North Springfield, so I know all of those names. So I'm around school all the time, and I'm excited to be back for my second year.
All right, Lauren, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Thorne. I am PTA secretary this year. It's my first year, and I look a little crazy because the camera on my laptop is on the bottom, and I can't use my work one. But I have a first grader and a kindergartner this year at North Springfield. So we're excited for a good year, and we're off to a good start.
That's a good point. We should probably talk about our kids. So Amy and I, fifth graders that graduated last year. What else grade level do you have, Amy?
I have a fourth grader. And then again, like Ken, I have a sixth grader who at Holmes who graduated in the spring from North Springfield.
So, and then in addition to my sixth grader, I also have a third grader who's at the school as well. All right, Dan, you're up next. You and might as well have you and Jen. You're on mute.
Hi, everybody. All right, try this again. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan. My wife, Jen, right there, you've kind of heard in the background. We have a fifth and a third grader, and there she is. And I will be your vice president of membership this year. Looking forward to working with everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email.
Awesome. And Jen, what do you do? All right, looks like she's not here. So Jen is our president-elect, so she'll be president next year. She gets to take over after me. Tiffany. Oh, you're on mute, Tiffany.
Bottom left-hand corner is the mute.
Okay. So looks like you might not have audio available, Tiffany. So I can fill in for you. So Tiffany is Tiffany's a rock star. She's our VP of fundraising and actually does not yet have a child in the school yet. So next year she'll have a kindergartner. So she's getting started earlier than most people do. So that's pretty awesome. Is Karen here? Karen. I don't know if Karen was able to make it tonight. I don't see her.
She said she would be late.
Okay. Karen, she is our VP of enrichment. So she's responsible for doing different programs to sort of supplement what the kids are doing in school and learning in a fun and exciting way. I don't know if we've had any other VPs of enrichment here that might be able to chime in a little bit more about what the VP of enrichment role is. Or past officers. Emily, I see here. Emily Simone, Christy Valbuena, I know is here. Anything you want to add on what the VP of enrichment does? Oh, Scott's here too. Nobody? Okay. All right, did I miss anyone? I think I got all the officers. Okay, so that's going to be who all of our officers are for this year. And of course, we have Mr. McRae and Ms. Milkowski. Do you want to do quick introductions for you all as well? We'll move on to the topic.
Hi, I'm Leslie Malkowski. I'm the assistant principal at North Springfield, going on year 6, I believe.
Yes.
And I love our school and community, and we have a fabulous PTA. We're looking forward to an awesome year.
And I'm Ted McRae, our principal. And if Leslie's going on year 6, then I'm in year 11 as principal, and 14 actually at the school because I was the AP there for 3 years. So, but I'm so excited. It is, after the last 18 months, just having kids in the building every morning is the best part of the day. It really is. So we're really excited.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right. And thank you for all the work that you do day in and day out, take care of our kids, and especially in this crazy time, making sure that everybody's safe in the COVID era, which hopefully we'll get out of the COVID era in due time. All right, so a couple of things. We are doing this meeting virtually because we're also doing a virtual back to school. A little bit different than it is in years past. So you should have received an email that directs you to log into Parent View and Schoology. And so from there, you should be able to access all the back to school files. So there is a PowerPoint slideshow that's there that you can take a look at. There's also some links to some of the videos that are there, and there's
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently.
and there's various back to school messages that you can see as well from the school, so from each respective grade level. So a couple different videos there. So email should have gone out from the school earlier today, so make sure that you definitely check out the slideshow as well as check out the various videos about that. And as far as what we are doing this year, let me see, where is my... Okay, as far as what we're doing this year, we've got a couple of different things that I want to recap. A little presentation here. Let's go to the top. Oops. Okay. So Chad and Leslie, you've seen this in an earlier version before, so just bear with me. All right, so our theme for this year is building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration. So this is going to be our theme for the year as we're growing out of this pandemic era. We want to make sure that we're taking care of our kids in the best way that we can and making sure that they're as resilient as possible. And we can't do this alone. We have to do this together as a PTA, as parents, as teachers, even as community members. We play a respective role in making sure that our kids are resilient. So this strategic plan that we put together, which is available on our website, nsespta.org. We'll also drop the link in the chats towards the end of the meeting. So this theme and the strategic plan is not just kind of thrown together randomly. It's actually rooted in the Portrait of the Graduate. If you're not familiar with the Portrait of the Graduate framework, that is what the county this is what the county put together several years ago to basically say by the time someone graduates from school, from the Fairfax County Public School System, these are the different goals. This is what they should look like. Here's what they should achieve. These are the skill sets that they should have. So part of that Portrait of a Graduate framework, we have goal-directed and resilient individual. So we want to make sure that we are using our resources as PTA wisely. We're also making sure that there's room for growth and that the individuals are as resilient as possible. Our students, our children are resilient. Okay? Additionally, there's collaboration. So seeking feedback from others so that we can adapt ideas and accomplish difficult tasks. But in addition to the building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration, it's not just the Portrait of a Graduate framework that we're borrowing. We're also borrowing from national PTA core values of commitment, being dedicated to children's educational success, health, and of course, well-being, okay, through strong family and community engagement. We're also looking at collaboration, working in partnership with a wide array of individuals and organizations to broaden and enhance our ability to serve and advocate for all children and families. So that's where our theme comes from Portrait of the Graduate, as well as from the PTA core values at the national level. So what did we do last year? Last year, we did a couple things that were really significant. The most significant thing I would say that we did, or the two significant things I'll say, first was the teacher's grant. We had almost $3,400 that we donated to teachers to be able to fund some of their activities and some of their ideas, help building books in classrooms. We awarded some grant money for the Eco Club. We also bought some subscriptions for the teachers and really tried to enhance things that maybe they can't, the school can't really fund on their own. But this number that we did, $3,400, that's more than double the previous highest amount, which was probably about like 6 years ago. There was about $2,000 funding of teacher grants. So, we did pretty well. Second thing we did is we did fundraising for our track. And if you have not been able to enjoy the track, make sure that you go check out the track at the back of the school over by the batting cages, but make sure that you do that after school hours. If I can ask one of the board members, I'm getting a message from someone named Caitlin who's trying to get in. I don't know if you can help her get into the meeting or not. But anyhow. Okay, so fundraising. So we raised $8,000, and the majority of that $8,000 was raised by 100 different donors. So it was, PTA kicked in a little bit, but the majority of it was $8,000 from 100 different donors. And some of them didn't even have kids in the community. So we're gratefully appreciative of all the work that the community did to rally together. And Chad, is there anything you wanted to say about the track?
I have that as one of my things to talk about, but we are going to do, so our first top 10 race is going to be in a couple weeks on the 27th, September 27th. So I think we're starting at 9:15, 9:30, somewhere. We'll send communication out as to our start time. But we are going to do kind of like a ribbon cutting or like a little, we'll do kind of a little bit of a grand opening. Dedication's the wrong word. I know that was used earlier on a calendar, but it's not really a dedication, more of a kind of just an intro to the community of it. And we are working to kind of dress it up a little bit. And I had the custodial staff do some edging, and we're going to continue to edge it out and, make sure that it looks nice in for the run on to walk on. One of the things that we've noticed already, and Miss Metz has measured out perfectly the mile run, is all the kids' times have gotten so much faster. Like we have kids running 6:15. I think this is a 6:15. It might be the fastest, or 6:10 mile. I mean, we have kids like flying now in their mile times. It's unbelievable. And today was actually her first run club in the morning. And I think we had 40 kids out before school running on the track this morning. So already kids are excited. They're taking advantage of it. And, hopefully, fitness becomes something that all kind of becomes ingrained in who they are as they grow up. So we're really excited about it, but there'll be more information coming out on the top 10, which is September 27th.
Excellent.
I'll let you finish though.
No worries. And if I can ask those who are not presenting, if you can just mute your microphone if you don't mind. All right. Thank you. All right, let me get to the next slide here. Okay, go back to the presentation here. Okay, so what are we going to be doing this year? So this year's approach, we are really dedicated to being responsive and transparent and really staying focused on the theme, building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration. So we really want to be responsive to you. So if you have any questions, suggestions, things that you're not clear about, ways that we can help you, definitely be sure to reach out to us and we'll do our best to respond as quickly as possible. We also want to be very transparent. We're very much aware of all the money that you donate to us, and we want to reinvest it back into the school. That's why we exist, to be honest, and we want to be transparent and make sure that you're fully aware of everything that we're doing with the funds that you so graciously entrust us with. Next, we want to focus on programs that foster student enrichment and fundraising, and I emphasize the fun part. So one of the big disadvantages we had last year is we weren't able to gather together. So we weren't able to do some of our usual events. We weren't able to do, the bingos that we usually do. We weren't able to have the movie nights. So we're, really trying to do as much as we can on the fundraising side to bring people together and have fun. There's, of course, a formula that PTA recommends, National PTA recommends that for every, every three Christy, maybe you can help me with this, for every 3 fundraising things that you have that's focused. No,
It's the other way.
Okay.
For
So,
every one fundraising event you do, 3 things that don't raise money.
right. Or the focus is not really on raising money. So we can still raise money, just that's not what the primary focus is. So that's what we really want to do, is be able to provide some social activities for our kids and be able to do that as much as we can. Okay. And of course, we want to continue to support our teachers as much as we can. We love our teachers. Our teachers are wonderful and fantastic, and they put up with our kids oftentimes better than we can as parents. So how do we accomplish all this? The way we accomplish this is through membership. And so membership nationally in PTA has dropped 3.4 million people in the last 20 years, and that's a number that comes from the PTA. As it relates to North Springfield, in 2019-20, we had 127 members. We had 63 members last year, so we had a huge drop in membership, and a lot of that is because the in-person events that we have, like Beaver Blast Off, is when we typically do a lot of recruitment for our PTA members, and we weren't able to do that last year. So our school size, according to the Department of Education, is roughly average. I mean, we were 3 students above the national average in terms of school size. So by that same methodology, I wanted to look at what the National PTA says is the average membership size. So the average membership size, since we are an average school size, is 157 members. So that is what our goal is this year, is to capture 157 members. And we've got a couple of different strategies on how we're going to accomplish that. So it's not just going out reaching every individual, but we really want to try and focus on having both parents, if you have a 2-parent household, both parents becoming members. And to make this a little bit more attractive, we have $10 for one parent to So far, how we're looking is we've got 72 total members from 40 families, and I'm looking at this row right here. So 72 total families, 72 total members from 40 families, and that includes 19 teachers. Okay, and this is how we compare to the previous years. So as you can see from last year, we're ahead of both members as well as almost families. We're ahead of by teachers. We had 12 teachers in the last 2 years. So now we're ahead of where we were in the last 2 years. We're catching up to the number of families, but you'll see that total members is about half, more than halfway where we were 2 years ago. And a lot of that is credited to targeting the 2-parent households and encouraging both parents to join. So it's been working really, really well, and we're looking forward to having even more people join. So we are only 85 members away from our goal. So we've got 72 members and 85 left to go. So if you have not yet joined, if you're not yet a member, here's what you need to do. Visit NSESPTA.org. Be sure to then read our strategic plan, which is under welcome / 2021-22 strategic plan. And after you've had a chance to read it and you see the work that we have planned and the goals that we want to accomplish this year, if you feel that it is something that you want to support, then please join by becoming a member and clicking on the become a member or donate. You can do both. You can become a member and you can donate as well. So, and then the next thing is don't just pay your dues and then disappear. We hope that you attend our hybrid meetings. Again, because it's a virtual back to school night tonight is a little bit of an exception, but all of our other meetings we were planning to do in a hybrid format. So in person in the school library, and also having that offered via Zoom as well. So with that, I know I'm not the main speaker for tonight. That's Mr. McRae and Ms. Mikowski. So, but are there any questions that I can answer before we move on to our next agenda item?
Hi, Ken. This is Caitlin. I put a question in the chat. I was wondering what is the incentive for teachers to join the PTA?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing is that we are the Parent Teacher Association, so we definitely want to make sure that our teachers are represented. You know, we don't want to just have the Parent Association and just, make sure that we're working together with our teachers. Another incentive that we have for the teachers to join is we've got the teachers grants. Obviously that's a big thing that I don't know if you had signed on when I was talking about that slide, but last year we funded almost $4,600 to teachers, and it's more than doubled what the previous highest amount is. So anybody else want to chime in on that answer as well? Amy, you're both a teacher and a parent.
And it was interesting when you came to present to us at our staff meeting that all the teachers sat there going online, a lot of them trying to figure out how to register for PTA very quickly. They were like, we want to get involved. We don't require that a teacher be a member of the PTA in order to get a grant, so it's not like there's any sort of a quid pro quo there or anything. But we definitely love to have teachers participating with us. We love their contribution when they're able to come to our meetings. And we work with them as well to, when we have guests for our PTA meetings, they often help us to facilitate that, as well as provide input. Like we've had Miss Vega, Miss Fitzpatrick last year. They both gave presentations on math and reading at school. As well as teachers have given other presentations as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm new to the PTA. I'm a mom of a rising kindergartner. And so I want to be involved for a lot of reasons. And I appreciate everyone's opportunity and input into helping answer questions, because it's all really new, for me, and especially with COVID and stuff. But I was thinking about it's really difficult for people who are new to it to not be able to go into the school, and you can't see, you get a 10-minute interaction with. Are you guys going to cover that tonight? The code, I'm sorry if you already did. I had a lot of trouble logging in. But just not being able to be as sort of involved as we normally would, understandably with COVID, but just the lack of information that we've been receiving from the school is pretty concerning for me.
Yeah, I think Mr. McRae and Ms. Mikowski.
That's a good segue. We'll start with that segue, actually. If that's all right, can we?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, that's a good segue. And so first, totally valid concern. And we've been very slow to roll some things out. We've been very deliberate actually for the last 18 months because things have changed so fast, and many of the schools have around the county put things out so fast that before the ink dries, it's changed again. and again. And so some schools are sending out 2 and 3 or 4 emails, if not a day, a week. And that's just, first of all, it's overwhelming. Second of all, all of a sudden, it's white noise to everybody because it's another change and another something. So we have been pretty deliberate and slow to put stuff out there, just because when things start changing fast, we're not really sure where that dial is ever going to stop long enough to say, okay, we can actually now adjust to it. However, that being said, we're actually starting to get to a point now, and we're actually going to kind of talk about some of those things, where we're starting to get a little balance, things are settling now. We really didn't know going in. I mean, we still, Leslie and I probably spend, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 to 10 hours now a week of our day just adjusting to COVID protocols. When somebody's sick, how it gets entered, who needs to be called. That is still changing daily, and it's really it's frustrating for us because we want to be talking about instruction, and we've become COVID managers instead of instructional leaders. That's really where we're at. But I think there is a balance coming, and I think teachers are ready. There's a comfort, or not a comfort, but an understanding now of the level of where we're operating. Mask usage is really settled in. Hand washing, kids are getting used to schedules now. The teacher, all those things that are so important in the first 20, 30 days of school are starting to balance out. And so now we're really looking at, okay, how can we start to expand upon some of those things? So you should start getting more information on, we were talking about volunteers just this week and getting people in to do things, and where can we do that safely? And what kind of procedures or sign-ins do we have to have in place to have parents come in and volunteer? And the one thing that's making it really tricky is they've actually tightened protocols for adult student interaction, as far as, our teachers have been instructed now to really, to the best of their ability, try to run a class, which is extremely hard, but maintaining a 6-foot distance from the students, where students are 3 feet from each other. And so they've really started to put emphasis back on things that we were almost doing 15 months ago. And so we took about 4 steps back forward, and then we find ourselves taking a couple steps back, which is, now we start looking at bigger areas, the cafeteria, where we're trying to, get some, if anybody would like to, and I know I spoke with Dan a little bit, and we have a couple dads that, if, we can hire hourly folks and get you into the county and pay people to help during cafeteria, which is be about 3 hours a day in the middle of the day. So about 15 hours a week or so. But we have been given money to pay hourly folks. And that's an area where we definitely could use the help, because it's quick turnover this year. In order to create a natural spacing, every grade level has its own half-hour block. So we're not mixing any grade levels during lunch. So at 3rd grade lunchtime, it's only 3rd grade, 4th grade, only 4th grade. So we're trying to keep the grade levels, so, to use old terminology in this process, as a cohort group, so that should we have to contact trace, it becomes much easier. We also have assigned seating in the cafeteria now. So there's no more than a couple of the grade levels, there are 4 or 5 kids, but it's every other seat at the very max capacity in the cafeteria. So when you look at a student, the 3-foot barrier for a student, every student with the skipping every other seat, we're about 5 feet between kids, 4.5, 5 feet. And we just started this week because we were able to hire somebody monitor on another person to help. And if we can get a couple more for the cafeteria, we started taking one class outside to eat. We have a tent in our courtyard. So we're bringing a class a day out. We started with the older kids this week because we want to find out where are the sticky spots that we got to work through from just a logistical piece. But we're starting that process, and actually we're getting a second tent. So our hope is to be able to actually bring 2 classes outside while the weather's nice, and as long as we can, to eat outside. And it was actually really nice out there today. Our courtyard is shaded anyway, and it was as hot as it was today. It was actually relatively cool out there. And then once we move those classes out, we actually hand spread out kids again. So while those classes were out, we never had more than 3 kids per table in the cafeteria. And in that case, the kids are about 7 feet apart while they're eating, actually. And it's great. So we're really looking at different ways to kind of continue to spread that out. And then, with the quick turnover too, I mean, Leslie and I are in there as much as we can in the middle of the day, helping wipe tables down as quick as we can, just to make sure they're all wiped down and ready to go for the next grade level coming in. So we are disinfecting everything before the next kids sit down at those
Thank you.
tables. So, but if you'd like to volunteer, or with the pandemic, it's easier to start hiring people hourly. But if you're interested, shoot me an email or shoot Leslie an email, and we'll get you hooked up with that process. And it takes about a week or 10 days to get through HR, but then we have the money. It's like about $15 an hour. So,
Hey, Mr. McRae, there's more on the agenda. So I think if you want to let Ken go, and then we can get back to the.
Okay, Ken, you want to go through, Ken, or do you want me to just keep going, or what do you want to do, Ken?
Well, we definitely got to get a budget passed, and we.
All right, let's do that. We'll come back to it.
All right, I'm going to turn it over really quickly to our president-elect, Jen. She's got the audit report that she's going to present, and then Amy after that to go through the budget so we can vote on that, because we definitely want to be able to spend money to support the school.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Ken. Really quickly, I just want to mention that every July, the PTA is required to conduct a financial review / audit. 3 volunteers who are either have prior PTA experience, or they are CPA or accountant by trade, are able to just sort of serve as independent auditors. And part of that financial review covers things like book balance, receipts and income, total cash, expenses. We verify bank statement balances. We look into outstanding checks. And our findings for the year ending June 30th, 2021 is and it was very minimal findings. For example, we verified balance in our PayPal account. A few check numbers were missing second signatures, and there was a variance between some backup that have all been resolved. I think Scott Pulliam might be on the line, so please keep me honest. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, no, we had a couple things. Yeah, just a couple small things were found. If they've been resolved now, then that was it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Amy, our treasurer, amazing job. It was almost a breeze, and it was a lovely working lunch among all of us. So thank you so much for keeping your records straight, and you did a great job.
I have Scott to thank for helping me to stay on the straight and narrow over the last year.
Ken, you're on mute.
I knew that. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention. No, just kidding. Amy, Jen, do we have to have that report approved by membership?
We do.
Okay. Do we have that? Maybe we can throw it up on screen.
I have it in hard copy. I do not have a soft copy of it. If I can, yeah, because audit, yeah, this is their. Sorry, I didn't get this to you in soft copy. But so it's been presented to the board on September 14th. And I just need to know that it's adopted today. Do you want me to scan this and send? I can put.
Let me see if I've got it so that I can pull up on the screen. Or Jen, do you have it? Or Scott?
No, we actually all signed in person, so Amy actually has the only copy.
The only copy.
But going forward, we'll definitely scan it in and make that available.
Okay.
তুমি তোমার জোরে জোরে পড়ো এই যে এভাবে মনে মনে পড়বা না একটু সাউন্ড করে পড়বা
All right. Let's see. Yeah, let's if you don't mind scanning it really quickly.
Okay.
Amy, sorry about that.
Okay, if you want to go
Okay.
ahead and so since the board put together the budget, do you want to have it presented as a board?
Yeah, we can do that. So, and for those who want to see the budget, I just dropped the link in the chats. Feel free to take a look at it. And then, Amy, do you want me to talk about it then while you're scanning that?
Yeah, I have to step out of the room for a minute.
Okay. All right. So here's a budget. Again, I dropped the link in the chat so you can take a look at it. I'll get to the bottom line and then we'll go through some of the line items. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop. So we are unfortunately proposing a deficit budget, which I'm not thrilled about, but we wanted to be able to fund as much as we could for our kids. But there's also some other small little caveats to consider here. So let me start with this before we get into the budget. When you look at past year's budgets, you'll see that there's both surpluses and deficits for both years. But you'll see that in the 2018-19 going into 2019-20 budget, because of the pandemic and the PTA board wasn't able to spend as much as they would have liked to and planned. There was actually 123.1% of the expenses was actually carried over. So it was a $13,000, almost $14,000 budget that was, or surplus that was, excuse me, let me back up. It's almost a $14,000 ending balance that was carried forward. And last year we spent about half of that and got the budget down to $7,300. With the proposed budget that we are presenting tonight, we are going to carry forward $5,100. So it's kind of getting back down to somewhat of the lower ends. But when you're looking at the percentage of the amount carried forward as a percentage of the expenses, it's 47.4%. So it's kind of right in the middle of the range of the last couple of years. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm happy to explain that to you. But let's see, where are we? Okay, so getting back to the budget over here, again, we are trying to raise as much money as we can, but also realize that we have some expenses, and it is a little bit of a crazy time because we're recovering from COVID and having in-person things. So, we did our best estimate as a board, went through line by line and tried to just get this as accurate as possible. So for our memberships, we were looking at this amount here, which is going to be 40 singles at $10 plus 45 couples at $16 and 20 teachers. Again, we're at 19 teachers, so we're pretty close to that. So that's the amount that we have. Now the expenses, part of your dues pay both national as well as the Virginia PTA. And so we get charged for each member that we have, we get charged a certain amount that we have to pay in the membership dues. And that's broken down over here. So $3.25 or $3.75 Virginia PTA, 25 cents to national, to Fairfax County PTA. The Virginia PTA also includes national in there. So that's what you have for the expense. Then Amazon Associates. So both that and Amazon Smile, we do get income from Amazon. The Amazon Associates is when we get people, the Amazon Smile, that's when we get people connecting your Amazon orders to support our school. So we'll put together a YouTube video of our YouTube channel and some instructions on how to do that. But please, we encourage you to connect and support North Springfield Elementary School PTA. And it's just, ordering your normal stuff, and then we just get a portion of that. A general rule of thumb that we try to do is we looked at the 2019 budget, and we tried to use 75% as the general rule of thumb, both for income as well as for revenue. So for bingo, we were looking at 2019 items, and 75% of that, so it was $825 for the expense side, or for the income side, $315 for the expenses. For the 5th grade celebrations, excuse me, the 5th graders, they sell concessions at a lot of the fundraising events, and the reason that they do that is because it helps to fund their 5th grade trip. So they get to keep whatever the net is. So we're estimating that they'll raise $1,000 in concession sales, but spend $500, so it'll be a net of $500 is what they get to keep. We also have a matching amount that we have. So I'm going to skip down just a little bit, and you'll see that down here you've got the payout of $500, which matches the $500, and then you have the matching amount of $500 that we've got from the PTA. So again, this funds their 5th grade field trip, and that's a common thing that we've done every year, except for last year when we didn't have a 5th grade field trip. For donations, we're looking at 80% of the 2019 budgeted, but we increased it slightly because of community engagement from the 75% that we're using as general rule of thumb. So we're looking at $400 in donations. We are currently at about $100, a little over $100 in donations for the year. Flocking is a big fundraiser. Tiffany, you can talk about that in a little bit, but we're looking at $400 to raise an income. We initially had an expense there to get some new storage containers, but we ended up eliminating that, and so we're just looking at the revenue side. We are looking to have movie nights as well. So movie nights, we have to pay $499 for a license, and for some of the supplies, we're looking at like $45, so it's going to be a total of $544 for movie night and expenses. We're looking at charging $4 per child and targeting 75 children, having 2 movie nights, and that's where we get $600. Restaurant night, we get a portion of the proceeds for people just going out and eating and supporting us at restaurant nights. So we looked at 80% of the 2019 budget. Papa John's, every Thursday, order from Papa John's and use promo code. I'll put the promo code in the chats though, but we get 40% discounts, and the school actually gets 10% of the proceeds. There's also Laney's Greek Taverna restaurant. They're looking at doing a restaurant night with us as well. An event that we always have is a silent auction, and that's usually tied to bingo. So we looked at 75% of the 2019 budget, and that's the amount that we were looking at. And for some of the supplies, we were looking at $225. Spiritware is a big one. Long story short, we have to replenish a lot of our spiritware inventory, but we're looking to sell as much as we can, but it's going to be almost a wash between the income and the expenses. There's a 5K run that was done a couple years ago, so we're looking at small little income from that, as well as a small expense to award them with some medals for the participants. We're also looking at a parents' night in. So instead of a parents' night out event where you drop your kids off and then you have, you have like a date night, we're looking at like doing some kind of parents' night in. So either an activity that keeps your kids occupied while, mom and dad or, the 2 parents, have some sort of date night, or doing something after the kids go to bed that the parents can enjoy. So that's what we're looking at for parents' night in. So small little thing there for a fundraiser. Some of other things, art framing. So that's something typically that we will fund for the school. So when the kids have their art that they do, we provide frames for that. Beaver Blast Off, we funded pizza for, we had 200 pizzas that we ordered, gave 1 pizza per family, which is a little different than what we normally did. We also have snow cones. So it was a total of $1,580 Years past, we've spent about half of that, but we wanted to be able to start it off and provide people with dinner. So beatification, there's the class of 2020 was supposed to have a ceremony last year to plant a tree, but that was not able to be realized. So we're carrying that budgeted amount forward again for a second year. And we talked about the concession payouts. Enrichment, we subsidize some of the enrichment programs. So this is what we're looking at. So a little bit of a slower start. So we did 50% instead of 75% for the fall subsidy, and then winter and spring, when we have some of the enrichment programs, we'll go back up to the 500 amount that we typically do. We talked about the matching amount for 5th grade field trips. We're looking at some receptions for teachers for like art for their retirement and other celebrations. And that's based off, we reduced it down from previous years based off of the 2019 and 2020 actuals. Reflections is an enrichment program that we decided not to participate in this year. And so there's some club grants that we are hoping that teachers will take advantage of. So we got $600 for that one. This is special education PTA donation of $100, which is typically what we do. Teacher appreciation. So we increased over what we did in 2019, but decreased what we did in 2020. So we're looking at $300 to budget for that. And we reallocated some of the funds that we originally had in teacher appreciation up to the receptions line item as well. Let's see, teacher luncheon. So that's a big thing that we recognize the teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. So we've got slightly less than 2019 and 2020 actuals, but we increased, actually, sorry, that's where we increased. We did increase the teacher appreciation from what it was in years past. We're also looking at some of the teacher grants. So the teacher grants for the fall and the spring is actually more than what it was in 2019, but it was less than what it was in 2020. So we're looking to try and stay competitive. So instead of $4,600, we're looking at $2,000 altogether. Plus, if you look at the club grants, that's really $2,600 is what we're proposing to support teachers. Family Science Night, something we'll talk about in a little bit. That's going to be coming up on October 28th. That was something that we funded last year as part of the teacher grants, but the money wasn't paid in the last fiscal year, so we have to carry it forward for this year. Because of the fact that we're recovering from pandemic, we decided not to fund anything for the 4th and 5th grade dance that typically is funded by the PTA. This one here, we're calling it for now Blankathon. In years past, there was a readathon that was a big fundraiser for the school. In 2015-16 year, there was over $25,000 that was donated or raised by the PTA and donated to the school. In the last couple of years, the schools decided to do Boosterthon, and so the school, maybe Chad can talk about this a little bit more, but we're not going to be renewing the contract, or the school's not going to be renewing the contract with Boosterthon. So Mr. McRae is looking for PTA to be able to make up the difference and do a fundraiser. So because we, Chad and I were not able to talk about it in great detail as far as what like a goal is, we left that blank for now, but we anticipate that will, for the most part, be revenue. And if there are any expenses that exceed $300 per our bylaws, we will bring that vote to a membership meeting. All right, so insurance, that's a fixed cost. That's how much we have to pay. MoneyMinder is like our accounting software. That's a fixed cost as well. We do have a monthly bank fee of $48. And Lauren, we actually learned that this fee is because we need images of our checks to be returned to us. So that's a service fee that we get, and that's required by the PTA, the National and Virginia PTA. We budget a little bit for office supplies, a little bit for refreshments, except for this meeting. Unfortunately, we don't have virtual refreshments. Trainings, usually PTA would, Virginia PTA would have trainings, and we would fund for people to go to trainings. But the last couple of years, they've been online and they've been free, so that's why there's nothing in that line item. $300 we have for just sort of any additional costs that don't fit, that we have not budgeted for. And then we've got Zoom subscription as a fixed cost, and PayPal fees are based off of some of our PayPal transactions for maybe like our Spiritware or some online sales that we're doing. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at just a little shy of $12,000 in income and just a little over $14,000 in expenses. So it is a $2,200, roughly $2,200 deficit budget that we are proposing. But again, looking at what we're going to be carrying forward is going to be a little over $5,100. And we are obviously hoping that we raise a lot more money and we'll be able to at least have like a budget neutral projection at the end of the year. So with that said, are there any questions on the budget?
Yes, Ken, I think there's a few in the chat.
Okay. And sorry, I got a new computer, so sometimes it's weird. It's a Chromebook, so I can't actually see chats, and I'm not on camera when I'm sharing screens. So let's see here. What do we have?
I apologize. My content may have been shared to everyone, but may have been a direct message because I also don't deal well with chat. I had raised the partnership that happened 2 years ago with Urban Evolution.
Yeah, it went to everyone. And I messaged you back about that, Anna. So 2 years ago, I think it was the PTA worked with Urban Evolution as well as an Ariel Silks maybe it was Urban Evolution that did that.
They did, because Elaine did it with them, and then we went back to them for COVID summer camp, and they were the safest, most parent-friendly. I just loved working with them. So I am prepared to help us all work with them again.
Okay. So the way that the enrichment has worked in the past is that the PTA helps to organize that and perhaps provide a little bit of funding for it, but there's still an expectation that it's not because of the cost of them. For example, like this.
No, I remember that we paid for it before, but having it available at the school was absolutely amazing.
Right. And that's part of the enrichment officer's job is to hopefully make that happen. Obviously, we're also dependent on what FCPS is allowing to happen in the building. And I don't know, Chad and Leslie, do you know like if they're allowing vendors like that to come in right now? As like, is that a community use?
Yeah, we can. They have to adhere to FCPS protocols as far as spacing and that piece of it. But we can, the community use can use the school. Before and after programs can happen.
Okay, I didn't want to take up time and space with that. I just wanted to see if there was a possibility because they were perhaps the best vendor that I worked with this summer that made me feel safe as a parent in that they were very careful and super easy to work with. So I want to lend my support.
And Anna, can you shoot me an email on that and then just so I can connect you with our VP of Enrichment?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It looks like a lot of the other questions did get answered in the chat. So, of course, everything will be dependent upon COVID for the 5th grade trip. The movie nights, we will still continue to be in discussion as to what our protocols will be. We'll, of course, work with the school on that. Our current, I'll be honest, since I'm dedicated to transparency, our current discussion on movie nights is that we should do that, but we haven't really discussed the details of it. We just know that we want to do them. Provide it to our kids. Let's see.
Well, and Ken, just to put it in perspective, top 10 race is going to be outside, and we typically have quite a few parents that come and watch. And because we are going to have the entire school out watching, all of our students, we're going to just have all of the students, teachers, and we're going to ask parents to wear masks. And then the runners will obviously be able to run without them. But just with so many people in that proximity, it just made sense to take that just an extra layer of precaution there. Because we do, in full transparency, we're sending home between 5 and 10 kids a day with COVID symptoms. Not all those kids have COVID. some of them are just general cold, flu. I mean, our kids have not been around normal germs in 18 months. So they're reacclimating their immunity to just normal cold germs or flu, or, you know, just the things that we would deal with in a normal year. We've used so much hand sanitizer and disinfectant and everything else that you do see those, just the common sniffles and colds and popping up. But in the current, you know, state that we're in, we have to have all that checked out. And it's, you know, there's a level of frustration, but at the same time, it's, you know, we just don't want anybody, we haven't taken any chances with, you know, spreading from within. So, and so far, so good. So is there anything else on, oh, we still have to take a vote on the budget, right?
Yeah, take a quick vote on that. So, Anna, you had something?
I did. I wanted to ask, because I've talked to some other parents in some other schools and districts, are there the rapid tests available at school just to,
Nope.
would it be helpful to just send some? Nope.
We wouldn't be allowed to administer them.
Okay.
The only test that right now that we're accepting, well, actually, I'm not sure if they made it. There's talk of the home test. I'm not sure where that is. As of
They're
right
a
now,
no
it doesn't.
right now.
Yeah, right now it's a no. It's only the rapid test or the PCR test that is administered by a doctor or, you know, Nova or what, you know, some health department authority.
Okay. But just so everybody knows, for $23, you can get a double home test. They are absolutely not as good as the ones that your doctor will give you, but in case you are having no sleep at night and worried about it.
If they're not all sold out.
What?
I haven't been able to get any for a few weeks.
Okay, I have 6 at my house.
I'll call
Anybody call me who's having a bad day. I have some more on order. I didn't realize they were completely out.
The CVS over by the Trader Joe's had some. They were the only place I found a couple weeks ago.
You need to check by the day. No, you need
Yes,
to check
yes.
by the day. They refill it every Tuesday. So I would call on that day and then you'll be notified of if they have it or not.
That's good information. I have some that I got from a scare over the summer and I just ordered all of them. And then every time I see one, I just pick up 2 in case a friend needs one. But yeah, that it just feels like with where we are in this, if the school had some, even if it's not officially yes or no, could be helpful just in disease mitigation. But good information. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Sometimes common sense is not where we're sitting, and that's what makes it hard.
All right.
Understood. Let us know how we can help.
All right, we got a couple of budget questions here. So as far as some of the zeros, so reflections, I believe there was a deadline that we weren't able to get our act together in time to work with them, and it really has not seemed to have gotten a lot of interest in years past. So we just decided not to pursue reflections. Dance, it was simply I'm assuming, Christy, you're talking about the 4th and 5th grade dance. That simply came down to COVID protocols. You know, dancing in close quarters, we just decided not to do that this year. And then question, did the art framing number come from Ms. Pomeroy? Amy, where do we get the?
We just kept it where it was before.
Okay, so I would like to make a recommendation. I'm happy to make the motion to pass the budget, but I would like to make the recommendation that the exec board talk to Ms. Pomeroy about the art framing. This was a past PTA, Scott will remember, nightmare, because she has some frames, but needs different sizes. And so that is the one line that I feel like we were never on target with. So before you really settle on $250, find out what size frame she has, what size frame she predicts she needs. And then I don't know, we didn't sell that much in 2019, 2020 as we had previously, just as a.
We did get some income from it last year.
Good. Okay.
without having to do anything. So thank you for your board for doing that. That we got $63 for our board. So there was that sum that came from that. And just so everybody knows what's happened in the past is the PTA has worked with Ms. Pomeroy, our art teacher, to frame kids' artwork. It then gets put up around the school, and then parents have the option to buy. They don't have to buy it, but buy the framed artwork.
Okay. All right. So, Christy, you said you're going to make a motion to approve that. And just before you do so, just as a reminder, the bylaws do say that the PTA board has up to $300 that they can spend beyond the budgeted amount before having to go back to membership. So just keep that in mind with all the line items that we could overspend, but no more than $300. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion if you're so willing to make one.
I mean, unless there's any more discussion.
Well, you make the motion first and then.
Okay.
Go.
So I motion that we pass the budget.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Who did you get who that was, Lauren?
Jen.
Oh, Jen Delboy. Okay, very good. All right. Is there any discussion really quickly on the budget? Any other questions? All right. So all those in favor of passing the budget, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, and that motion carries. So normally we would just need the paid members, just as a reminder, but since there were no nays, it passes unanimously. So we'll move on back to the audit. Amy, if you want to present, show that on screen. And then we just need a motion to approve the audit report, and then we can basically move on.
Can you enable me to share?
Nope. Sorry about that. Go for it.
Okay, Jen, do you want, here's the report. Jen, since you guys signed it, did you want to say anything else? So here are their signatures for the committee. Scott Pulliam, Jen Delboy, Andrew Harder, and Alex Thorne.
Vanessa and Amy need to sign the top of it.
We will.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott. No additional comments from me. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Well, so Scott, the way I read this, it says signatures should be current president and treasurer in office at the time of the exec board approval and general membership adoption.
Then you and Ken can sign.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Is there any, do we need to look at the rest of the report?
I can scroll through it.
And this is a standard form that I believe Virginia PTA has.
Yep. And after it gets approved by the general membership, it goes to the Virginia PTA.
It's the perfect scrolling speed.
I'm sure everybody has perfect speed reading abilities. Just been through this. Okay, no comments or recommendations. have the binders if anybody wants to see my books. Any questions for the committee on that?
Is there a motion to approve the audit report?
I move to approve.
All right, so Dan moves. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, got a couple different seconds there. Any discussion on the audit report? No? All right. All those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. All right, and that motion is approved. The motion passes. Okay, I'm going to hold off on the rest of the committee reports until the end, but just keep in mind if there's anything else that you want to talk about, any other committee members. So now that we've gotten basically business out of the way for the first hour of the meeting, I'll turn it over to Chad and Leslie for our main topic.
All right, it might be the most succinct I am all year. I'll try to keep it short, but to the point. First thing we wanted to do was thank all the parents because we know it's everybody's patience has it's thin. I think there's been a lot of stress over the last couple of years, and but at the same time, everybody's been extremely gracious with phone calls and when we do have to call about COVID symptoms or kiss and ride, it's always, we have a lot of kids in kiss and ride this year, and to start the school year, there's always delays, and people are used to walking into the building and having procedures be really quick and being able to go and talk to people, and it is different, but our whole community has been very gracious, very patient. And I know Leslie and I have really appreciated that the understanding that our community has shown everyone just around, some of these things that there's no way to put it. They're a hassle and they're a pain, but we're dealing with them together, and we really do appreciate that. Just a couple things, masks. Still a lot of our little kids, and I know the masks are really hard to find in small sizes, but we are swapping out a lot of masks in the morning as kids are coming in with adult masks, and their face, it's all you see is eyes, and it's it's floppy. It doesn't form around noses. So we're just kind of going to start sending reminders. And maybe that's a way to hook the Amazon piece because Amazon seems to be one of the places you can find kids masks that are 2-ply or a 3-ply and get them that fit appropriately. So we're just going to keep putting that reminder out there. But we do supplement them. We have plenty of boxes and keep ordering them, so we have them on hand for the whole staff as far as masks go. Lunch, we did talk a little bit about lunch procedures. We're looking to, if people are interested from a, hourly piece, we'll work through kind of maybe looking for volunteers. I know I saw in the chat that a couple of people are willing to just volunteer. So we'll start looking at that avenue. They did put out, normally lunchtime volunteers is a pretty easy process, but they are, I think, the county did put something out with COVID and all this to do fingerprints and badges for volunteers that are going to be on a more permanent basis this year, or from here moving forward. So we'll get those details, and so we have a procedure in place for people to follow and that we can move in that direction with too as well. An email went out today. There's a new requirement from the state around lockdown drills, that when we do have a lockdown drill, we are required to send out kind of a pre-email or notice for parents that we're going to be doing it. And then there'll be one that comes out post-lockdown just to let everybody know that we did do it. It is a drill that the state has said that we can make an exemption for our pre-K and kindergarten students. When we did talk to our staffs, it was pretty unanimous that no, they want to practice the drill, and it'll be announced. The kids will know what's going on, and they have they have been instructed and given resources to have those conversations to kind of explain what's happening to the kids at the appropriate grade level response. But so sometime in the next 24 hours or so, we're going to do our first required lockdown drill. They only last about 15 minutes, and then it's on with the regular day. Much like a fire drill, lasts about 10 to 12 minutes, and it's on with the regular day. It's pretty quick. And, our school, for some of our new parents and parents of kindergartners and preschoolers, our school, when we do a lockdown drill, we've had a couple situations where we've had to go into lockdown over the years. And our entire building gets locked up, and very quickly, like about 3 seconds, literally, it is locked up. Nobody's in the hall, and it is pin drop quiet. And it is something that the teachers in our crisis management team, which is actually headed up by Ms. Malkowski this year, everybody takes really pretty serious. And we actually have a tabletop exercise with safety and security also in October, which walks us through different scenarios and different crisis situations. So no students. Oh, that's you, Leslie, you put that in there. So that's just a heads up. And there is some resources that went out in that letter too, if you wanted to look into it a little bit more for yourself. Top 10 race, we said, was on 27th. Picture day is Thursday, the 16th. I saw a lot of kids going home yesterday and today with information for pictures. So I just thought I'd mention that. And then also Schoology through the parent portal is really where all the Thursday folder information is coming. All the videos, that little board in the beginning that Ken showed for back to school night videos, which Ms. Polak put together. That's the view through Schoology in the parent resource folder. And then the video list will just be off the YouTube list, will just be posted on the school website, which is, I mean, you can still get to the individual video that you want. It's just, you're going to have to scroll through it and look, versus if you get into Schoology, you can easily jump from video and grade level, and it becomes a little easier. But we're really trying to use Schoology as our delivery model. Before we really went to online teaching, we spent about $10,000 a year just in paper. And what we learned over COVID is that we still were effectively communicating with everybody, and it has become easier to get translations done and different language materials out, and we are saved a ton of money. So we've made the very conscious effort and decision to really try to stay as much as we can online with information and getting stuff out to folks. We are going to probably send half sheet paper reminders around some of the half days or holiday days off as just a reminder, because sometimes, life's happening at 110 miles an hour now, and oh my gosh, we don't have, or it's a teacher work day, the next day. So we'll probably, for some of those things, use multiple info points. And then I think that, Leslie, you wanted to talk a little bit about all the assessments that are happening too.
Sure. So you should be receiving notification from your classroom teachers just around the assessments that are going on in the classrooms right now. There is a lot happening over the next couple of weeks. It is great for us because it's giving us some data of where our students really are after being virtual or in person or some sort of hybrid for the past year and a half. So we've already started the DRA, which is a reading assessment. We've started the DSA, which is a developmental spelling assessment, and that is happening 1st through 5th grade. There's been a lot of research around the impact of phonics and phonological awareness and how students are really struggling with that in the upper grades. So that's a county now mandated assessment to help us really target that instruction to help close some of those reading gaps. Additionally, we have the iReady, which we have been taking for a couple of years. Unfortunately, we did just get notification that 3rd through 6th graders had a malfunction countywide with the math iReady assessment. So we were really on top of it, and we started assessing last week because we really want that assessment to drive our instruction. And being on top of it is now probably going to cause some of our kids to have to take the assessment again if they've completed it. If you are a parent of a child who has completed it, you will get notification, and you can choose to have them not take it again if you'd like. But it was a system error and it scored them wrong. We just got an email this evening, Chad and I did. In addition to that, we have a new assessment called the VGA, which is the Virginia Growth Assessment. And that is a new assessment brought on by the state of Virginia. And the purpose of it is to really look at the impact of the pandemic last year. Students in grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade are going to be tested in reading and math. We're taking those tests next week, Tuesday through Friday, in their classrooms on their one-to-one device. And they're going to be assessed on last year's standards. So 3rd graders are going to be assessed on 2nd grade standards. 4th graders are going to be assessed on 3rd grade standards. 5th graders are going to be assessed on 4th grade standards. And it really is just to kind of show us the gaps and what in areas we need to really target for the start of this year. And then finally, we have another new assessment called the CEL assessment, and that is the social emotional learning assessment. You should have received a letter in the mail around that one. That's the only one that got an official letter because it is new. And it has an opt-out option. This is an assessment that is given 3rd through 12th grade. It is 18 questions on a Likert scale that your child will be taken in the classroom. Mr. McRae and I can send out in the News You Choose this week the link, and you can review what the questions are. And if you want your child to be opted out, you either need to sign that form and send it back to school, or you can shoot me an email and tell me you want your kid to be opted out, and that will work as well. And we'll need to code them as opted out. If you are a K-2 family student, the SEL assessment is going to be done by the teacher, meaning the teacher is just going to fill out a survey around your child, and they're not going to do that until the middle of the year. And then those results will be shared with you. And then finally, the last one is the COGAT, which is the Cognitive Abilities Assessment. Typically, it is given in 2nd grade. It was not given last year because of the pandemic. So this year, we are giving it to all 2nd and 3rd graders the week of October 11th. We will get more information out to you around that. It is online this year, which is new. It's always been a paper pencil assessment. So this year it is an online assessment. I actually haven't been trained, so I don't know the full details of what that online assessment will look at, but once I know them, I will send them out. But if you are a parent of a child in 4th or 5th grade and you want to use your option of a one-time retake for the COGAT, you are welcome to do that during that window as well. We're actually sending this out Thursday in the News You Choose, but I need to know that by the end of next week in order for them to be assessed if you want to do your one-time retake. That was a lot of assessment information. So if you have questions and you don't want to ask them now and you want to email me, talk to me on the phone, just let me know. But there's a lot of assessment happening right now, but it's really going to help target our instruction and move our kids to close some of the gaps from the pandemic.
How long after the testing do we receive the results as parents?
So it really depends on the test. So some of the, like the state mandated assessments, we're not allowed to share those with you until they've been vetted by the state. We get them almost instantaneously, but until they're official, we aren't allowed to share them with parents if it's a state mandated assessment. Okay. Things like the iReady, the DRA, the developmental, you can get that. You can reach out to your teacher if you want to know some specific data and they'll share it with you. And that can be shared at any time. But like COGAT, the Virginia Growth Assessment, things like the SOL and Naglieri, we can't share those until we get official scores from the state.
And does part of that involve you holding a child back in a grade or involving summer school if they, all of the 5, I think you shared about 5, if they don't, approximately like make a score or do the retake correctly, like what are the repercussions for a child for that?
There really is no repercussions. The purpose of all of these assessments is to drive our instruction. So it's really about meeting kids where they are and using that data to help move them forward. And for kindergarten, they don't take any of the things I just said.
No,
Kindergarten.
I know. I'm just thinking forward. And so, and
Yeah,
then
just so
we
you know,
get-
but kindergarten has other assessments.
No, I know. And so that structure stays in place for them moving to first grade.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And kindergarten, just so for kindergarten families that are on here, your students are starting to take what's called the VKRP, which is the Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program. And it has 3 components. The first component is a math assessment. The second component is a social emotional assessment. And the third component is called the PALS, and it's a phonics reading assessment. Those are all done one-on-one with kindergartners and your teacher and the kindergarten teacher. And those will be happening over the next 3 to 4 weeks as well.
Good. Thank you.
Yep. You're muted, Mr. McRae.
The assessments, there's a lot, and we understand that, and we've really always tried to be anti-assessment in some ways. But we need great data because of how we teach all of our kids. We really do try to take every student where they are individually and teach from that point forward. And the data is absolutely, it's critical to do it. And we don't teach to the center. We don't teach to the masses. It's wherever each individual is, that's where we are, that's our starting point, and we have to have good data for that. And that's the one thing we're lacking over the last, consistent data over the last 18 months. And so it's needed, and the teachers are actually chomping at the bits to get it too. So on that teacher work day on the 11th, we're spending the entire day as a staff working on data and how it's going to drive our instruction and instructional plans by grade level, by a student. So we're going to get it back and use it immediately.
Thank you.
But outside of that, we'll keep it quick.
Christy has her hand up.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh,
Leslie
you
knows
do.
when I ask my questions, they're always scary. So I'm looking at these socio-emotional.
You're so scary. Yeah.
These socio-emotional questions. I found it on the FCPS website. Is someone going to explain to the 3rd graders what the wordings mean? Because one of the questions reads, to what extent were you able to disagree with others without starting an argument? And I can't imagine a 3rd grader, being my daughter, let's go with that, being able to interpret what that actually means.
So I think that's something, we just wanted to bring up for parents to take a look. It is the same assessment given 3rd through 12th grade. So I think it's going to be a little bit challenging for some of our elementary schools students. We can explain a little bit, like it's kind of like any other assessment, right? Like the teachers have a very specific script that they have to stick to. They can help a child navigate to answer, and they can help explain what a word means, but that's basically kind of it.
That's what I figured. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
There was a couple questions there in the chat regarding, so we did talk a little bit. We're already starting this week with the upper grades to kind of vet some strategies and structures for eating outside. And we are getting a second tent. So our hope is whenever possible, we'll have 2 classes, 2 out of 3 grade level classes outside eating during the week. Lunch and recess got really tough, and it should be opposite of their specials time. So it's more of a movement brain break. The teachers all wanted the longer recess time of 30 minutes because what that does is it gives them more consistent, longer blocks for instruction. And our kids, some of our kids had really significant instructional needs, and we had to put that first this year. We have 4th graders that some of them haven't been in school really in 18 months and are still in that 2nd grade range. And, we have to maximize instruction this year when we can. And that was really the decision those were the priority building master schedule. The teachers are looking for additional breaks, and we continue to tweak some of the grade level schedules. But we had to put the instructional needs at the top of the list this year. And the PE, when it is inside, because it's inside, is required to wear a mask, which is also why Ms. Metz is trying to take them outside as much as she can, especially with the track and top 10 coming right now. I mean, they're outside running and doing that all the time, every day. It'd be nice if that was going to be kind of lightened, but I don't see that happening, at least anytime too soon. So. Yes, singing with mask on. Probably makes my voice better if I were to sing. But, all right, I think, Leslie, we can keep asking questions and people can certainly, shoot us some emails if you have questions, protocol questions, safety questions. I would caution people, don't get your information from some of the social media pieces. Even our teachers are doing that. And we're just like, no, guys, unfriend, do whatever, stop reading that stuff, because first we have our schools a little bit smaller. They get a lot of information from the high schools that doesn't even pertain to us. And I feel like, and Leslie, we talk every day about structures and protocols, and I really feel like we're in a pretty good situation with how we're moving kids and the mask wearing. The kids have been phenomenal with the mask wearing and the hand washing and doing everything we've asked them to do. And we've probably had a half a dozen positive cases so far in our building, and they're not originating from within. They're, and it's been very contained and very structured working through those. So we're very fortunate, and we're just going to stay at it. And we did implement a few more structures for teachers this week. And we'll continue to do so as needed, but it feels safe. It feels good when we're walking, and Leslie and I talk about that all the time. If something looks like there's too many kids or it's not right, we're making that change pretty instantaneous as we work through almost daily. So it feels pretty good. And once volunteers and you get into the school a little bit, people will hopefully feel and see what we're talking about.
And Chad, just for some of our newer parents, could you go over kind of the procedure about if somebody tests positive for COVID, what happens in terms of reporting, and then it's not always the school that's delaying the information?
Sure. At the moment, and this has changed 3 times in the last 2 weeks, but at the moment, it really, first, it depends on where it originates from. Is the positive test where, let's say they got tested on their own with their pediatrician, and then parents reported back to us, is one set of protocols and flowcharts? Or did we send them home with COVID-like symptoms? They were in the building, and as a result of that, there's a whole system in place for reporting it to the health department. And then that's where contact tracing comes into play more often. And we have to figure out infectious period and work backwards from timetables with that and submit seating charts, class lists. And the health department actually takes our information then, and they do the contact tracing and determine who needs the quarantine, if anybody needs the quarantine. They come back to us with and unfortunately, we haven't had to pause any classes or students yet, meaning, because of close contact and that piece, or, there was a couple people in one area got a positive test. So if it originates in school, it's one direction. If it originates from outside, through a parent, a family member, or community spread, it's a different flow chart. But and we make phone calls all the time if we're not sure on a call. We have our nurse, our clinic aide. We're all on almost, it seems like daily update meetings. In fact, we called the region just to clarify that we were reading the flow chart properly for that specific situation a couple times this week. And so there is a lot of resources out there for us. The easier one to work through is obviously if it stems from outside the building, because then we just have to identify the time in which they were symptoms started, and we go back 48 hours from that point, and then we look at 10 to 14 days, whether none of our kids are vaccinated, so we're always on the 14-day scale for the most part for our kids because none of them are vaccinated. If it originates in the school, then we're providing all the data for contact tracing and everything else to the health department. Same process for the most part, only if it originates through us, we're providing that data to the health department. If it originates outside, they're telling us that information because they're doing that side of it.
Very good. And sometimes the health department's been pretty backlogged, so it's been taking.
They're very backlogged right now. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and there was actually a comment in the chats. There is a health department reaching out timely.
Well, I raised my hand first.
Oh, go ahead, Caitlin.
I just have a quick question regarding the lunch and the breakfast options for the kids. My son has been rather he's like really unsure whether if he's gonna take school lunch or not, and he's feeling not listened to by the people. So we're walkers, so we like walk up to the school. But do the teachers ask him if he needs lunch, or does he need to ask them? Because I feel like I'm getting a mixed answer, and I know they're dealing with a lot of kids and a lot of things.
Their teacher, probably both things are happening at the same time, because if he were to ask, or as he's walking up that hallway there to go to his class, if he remembers, oh, I feel like eating lunch, and jumped in line and went to class with the lunch in hand, or excuse me, breakfast in hand, that would be him reminding himself, or hey, can I go get breakfast to whoever the adult is right on that corner.
Kindergarten's a little different though.
Yeah, kindergarten, they are asking, and they've been walking groups of kids down, going through the line and coming back.
We've been coming early or late and whatever, and I think he's really confused. So if there's some way to streamline, hey, he had a little bit of food here, but I read him the menu every day for breakfast and lunch the night before to make sure he decides. But there's some days where he'll think, because he's 5, like he'll be like, oh, breakfast at home, and then all of a sudden he'll be like, oh no, I want breakfast at school. So I just wasn't sure what the procedure was. And then even if he brings a lunch, sometimes he'll think, oh, I changed my mind.
Well, I will say if he brings a lunch, they don't take him through the line. So kindergarten, because they don't have a whole lot of time in kindergarten, it takes a lot longer.
Okay.
If they have a lunch with them, they don't even offer them to go through. They have them sit and eat their lunch.
See, and that's why you guys got that email from Miss LaRue, because I didn't. I have no idea. I have no idea how to handle. Okay, maybe I'll email you separately about that. Okay.
Yeah, we can work through that. I mean,
okay. Thank you.
That's a per student with the teacher comment. That's just a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And I think just in the interest of time, maybe 2 more questions. And of course, you can always email Chad and Leslie with any other follow-up questions you've got.
The podium hand is up.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. So we have emailed about this a little bit, but for the benefit of the group, can you please talk a little bit about what your definition of close contact is for the school?
Sure. So the close contact definition, and it gets a little, because you sit there and first of all, in any grades up to like 3rd grade, they're all close all day long. But the difference is, and we had a long conversation, Leslie and I, with the region, if they're wearing the masks in the classroom full-time and their desks and the seating between students is 3 feet, which is only 3 squares on the floor, which a normal desk is already set up to have that distance anyway. As long as masks are being worn, then it's not considered a close contact with 3 feet and the mask being worn. In the cafeteria, it becomes a little different in that their 3 feet is still the number. The recommendation is 6 feet. And then it's masking up until the point you start eating, and then you mask again when you're done eating. And we've been able to kind of maintain that 4.5, 5 feet. Well, now that we're adding the outdoor seating, when we get down to 3 feet or 3 kids per table, it's really like 6 or 7 feet between each student. We're trying to broaden that out just because we don't want to take any chances with that. But the definition still is 3 feet with the recommendation of 6 feet with the mask up until the point they start eating and immediately when they're done eating.
But if they eat lunch within 6 feet unmasked, they would be considered a close contact?
Well, in our couple cases that we've had, they said no, that's not a close contact, because it was, we sent in pictures, we've sent in seating charts, and they did not, I guess they did not count that as a close contact. We have 10-foot tables, and so, and it's different for every grade level because depending on how many kids there are in a grade level, some tables only have 4 kids, some tables have 3 kids, and the fewer kids you have, the further apart they're getting. So they have not, to our knowledge, now we don't, because of the confidentiality piece, we don't always find out who they're considering until they say this person has a quarantine or this person is taking a pause, which we have not gotten that call yet. But that being said, we don't know, we're not privy to the conversations with parents that the health department is having either around close contact.
So if you have to wait for the health department to do their assessment in order to deem a close contact and then put that child on pause and send them home, how is that providing any protection to our students in the meantime? Because the last one took 2 weeks to clear. So if the health department contacts you 2 weeks later, that doesn't provide any protection because you've already exposed everyone else in the meantime.
We've asked those same questions and we have not really gotten an answer yet. Now, when we said common sense sometimes does not prevail, I can't even come up with an argument that even makes sense that I agree with you. It's hard to sit there and go, okay, yeah, right.
And also then I guess what I was trying to tell you in email is that the health department is saying that lunch would be close contact. So that is what they told me when I talked to them, which seems that we have an issue with that lunch, the way lunch has been, that they're eating unmasked within 6 feet. That should be a close contact. And if you're saying it's not, and you're being told it's not, the health department is telling me that would be a close contact. So they said they're investigating as to what happened with that situation, but you had said that they told you that would not count as a close contact.
When we had conversations with the region, the region office, yeah, and they have not contacted Leslie or I to have that conversation or look into it. In fact, the region's been out. I believe they've been to all of the schools. They've been out 2 or 3 times to look at cafeteria procedures, lunch procedures, sitting. or seat, how we're seating, how we're arranging the kids. And every time they really are very complimentary to what's happening in our cafeteria.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I think it's important to define two separate things here. So there's the idea of the health department identifying close contacts and doing their investigation. And then there's like what Chad and I do once we get the information. We submit all of the seating charts. We have them all uploaded, so it's an easy submit. We highlight the students that are around it, and then that's what we submit to the health department. So it is pretty clear of like who's around the student and all of that kind of stuff. And then they do their investigation. Then the school does have the opportunity, which is what I think the health department was saying to you, Ms. Pulliam, is that the school, if they deem necessary, can pause students. Now, in the cases that we've had, Chad and I, in our investigations and talking with the region, have not deemed it necessary based on the information that we've had. What gets sticky is we can't share any of that information with you all. And I know that you hear from your students and you talk in the community, and you probably know more than we do. But we can't, we just have to do what the best we can with the information that we have. And at this point, with the cases that we've been presented with, we haven't deemed it necessary to pause anyone. And then the health department has taken over from there. That's kind of where it's lied, if that helps explain it all.
So well, I guess the question was about whether you make your decision before the health department or after.
So when we submit a case
decision faster, then that helps protect the kids when the health department is slow.
Our decision to pause?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that as soon as we find out. So based on our investigation and with talking with the region, with the information that we had, we did not deem it necessary to pause anyone with any of the cases that we've had. Actually, that's not true. We have paused some students, but we can't share that. So I think that, and then the health department does a further investigation and may tell us that there are more students that we have to pause. So it's a two-step process. Like, it's up to us for part one, and then we wait for the health department to come back and give us any more information. And in defense of the health department, they are extremely overwhelmed. Like, they are doing the best that they can with a lot happening. So I know I don't want to put this like it's the health department's fault. I mean, we're all doing the best that we can in a really, really crazy situation, trying to keep everybody safe.
And in the region, actually, the pausing piece to the schools, that was one of the changes in the last 2 weeks. I think, especially in the case that I think you were referring to, that at that point when that happened, the pausing was to go through the region at the time, and they would make those decisions. They have since changed that because there's been some schools that they've totally paused a whole class, a whole grade level, and the region now gets involved with bigger groups, and they've said we have now, and this is the last 2 weeks, we have the ability to pause up to half a dozen kids or whatever without region approval. So that's one of the changes that's been made in the last. I think we talked to them last Thursday when we went through it, Wednesday or Thursday.
That would be after. Yeah.
So that's been one of the more recent changes as well.
Okay.
But prior to that, they wanted, anytime we were considering pausing any students, they wanted to know about it. But I think they got overwhelmed really fast because all of a sudden, there were situations where multiple kids in a single class were all of a sudden testing positive. We haven't had that situation at all yet.
That's good, and I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, me too.
What happens if someone is paused for the kid that is sent home, maybe without symptoms? What educationally, what is going to be done for them? What happens? Because that is
So all
something
of our
the website doesn't explain.
Yep. No, it's a great question. And through Schoology, all the teachers know they have to post current, up-to-date work for those students that are paused or even just out for any reason. that they can access for all the instruction that was given that day in the materials. The board did not pass. They tried to do a what did they call it, Leslie? This week it was a not. I want to keep going concurrent, but it's not
Streaming.
concurrent. Yeah, there were portions of lessons that they talked about streaming for students. It would be non-interactive. Just basically you would like be on the Zoom just watching your class. So you might watch the morning meeting, you might watch the math introductory lesson for the day, or the reading focus lesson for the day. And there was some really 2 or 3 specific times when the teacher would offer that streaming piece. And as we talked, and it didn't pass, because let's face it, what kid's going to get on for 15 minutes with no interaction, no nothing, and just watch his teacher talk for 15? I mean, it's just, it was not a good solution. So we don't know where it's going to go from there, but we know our teachers, we've asked our teachers to reach out to those students, have conversations with parents or students if necessary, and then just make sure that the daily stuff is posted on Schoology so the kids can access that through their accounts. And the kids that had to stay home, a number of them didn't have computers, and we've made arrangements for, same day pickup of computers so they can get right on. They're not missing instruction, drive-by pickup. We bring the computers right out to the parents. And we've done that multiple times. And that's kind of where we're at this point. We know there's probably some kind of additional piece coming. We just don't know what that's going to look like or when the go button will be pushed for that, but it's coming, I'm sure.
Jeff, we've had some suggestions in the chats to invite somebody from the health department to our next meeting. So that's something we'll definitely look at doing. And I suggested getting the nurse that's assigned to North Springfield Elementary to come and speak as well. All right. I do think that we've got about enough time for one more question. So who wants the last question? Looks like there was one that was answered in chat. Everybody, last chance to ask a question.
Gavel.
All righty. All right. So before we ask for a motion unanimous consent to adjourn, let's do a quick rip around with the board members. Are there anything that Laura, anything you want to bring up from the secretary's perspective?
I'm good at this point. Yeah.
Amy, anything else from you?
Nope, not from my perspective. Did you want to bring up Tiffany's notes?
Yeah, I'll do that in just a second. Dan, Jen, anything from you guys?
No, nothing here. We're good. Thank you all.
Okay, and I don't see Karen here. All right. One last thing about fundraising. We do have a couple of one fundraiser that's ongoing. We've resurrected the flocking. So for those of you who remember getting your front yards decorated with a bunch of flamingos, that is still a thing. So you can go to our website, NSESPTA.org, and you'll be able to sign up there. There's also something we're going to be talking about on Facebook soon. It's for Krispy Kreme. They're going to be doing a digital fundraiser. So it's $10 for a digital dozen of original glazed donuts. And we'll get the flyer out very, very shortly on that. So there's e-certificates that will be emailed to everybody once either we reach a minimum order of 25 or October 18th, whichever one comes first. So feel free to order some dozens to support PTA. You can even donate a dozen donuts or more to your teachers of choice. And I always like donuts as well, so feel free to donate some to me. That'd be great. But that's all we've got really on the agenda.
No, wait. I am the new flocking chair, so please feel free to contact me if you want your yard flocked. And we have 2 orders already, and we are more than happy to receive any more. And please let us just come and flock. It's 48 hours, and then if you go on the website, you'll be able to see the additional details.
Awesome, Caitlin. Yeah, thanks so much for volunteering. We always use different volunteers for different events, especially as we get ready to get going with more fundraisers in person. Anna, you got a
before it gets too cold, make sure you call.
I would like to flock some people to the benefit of the school. Could you share your email address in the chat so that I can contact you right away? Thank you so much.
Anna, if you can maybe just go to the website and fill out a flocking form.
Oh, there's a form.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then that'll also send you to Member Hub to make the payment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
perfect.
Oh, I already screwed up and I'm already.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm fired.
Then you don't even, you just get the message and you don't have to.
No, I don't even get to volunteer.
Not that you don't want to hear from Anna, 'cause she's a wonderful person. I'm just.
Okay. All right.
I am, but I do actually want to go through channels.
There's a comment in here. Chad and Leslie, first grade with Miss Fawcett has been great so far. And for whatever you all did to help improve Kiss and Ride, the wait times with the line. We actually do have a new dedicated crossing guard, and he's been fantastic. He's helped out a lot last year and used to live into the neighborhood now, or lived in the neighborhood, and now he's moved out. But he's been very, very good to work with and takes control out there. So we're really grateful for Mr. Rick Brooks, who is our new crossing guard.
We also have had school buses on time for the past 2 days. So if we could keep that going, that will help as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the key to the Kiss and Ride is Miss Pritt. Hands down.
Hey guys,
also,
do we pay the guard? And sorry, I have a lot of rookie questions.
The guard is funded through Fairfax County Police.
He gets paid overtime for that.
He gets paid by the police department. He's trained by the police department. Staff are not allowed. I've been yelled at multiple times for trying to get out there and direct, and they just don't like that. So that is a complete partnership through the safety and security in the police department.
Where do we find out what time he starts and what time he stops?
Typically, he's there maybe 5 to 10 minutes prior to, so it would be probably 8:15 to, and he can leave when he deems that all the kids have been crossed is typically what he will do.
What about in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, I would say he's probably there by 3:20, 3:15, 3:20.
Thank you.
Also, Miss Dallas, as she was leaving today, asked if anybody wanted to volunteer to help with pictures on Thursday to send her an email. She was looking for a few volunteers to help with picture day on Thursday.
Are the pictures inside of the building?
They're in the gym.
Okay, so we get to see the inside if we volunteer.
Yes, you could see the inside of the building if you volunteer, yes.
I'll do it.
Don't forget to use your COVID, go through your
card. Vaccine card.
There's a sheet just to go through the list of sheet. It's an on your honor system that you're not, coughing, hacking up stuff and haven't traveled. All right, I'm not saying any more, Ken.
All right. Well, we really appreciate all the people that showed up tonight. We had, by my count, I saw 34 at our peak, so it's a fantastic turnout. Hopefully, you all consider joining if you haven't already, and you come to our next meeting, which will be on site, is what we're anticipating in the library, but also live streaming it and via Zoom. So we'll see how that hybrid format works, and hopefully it works out really, really well. And I'll be in contact with you, Chad and Leslie, about the logistics on that. With that said, I do thank you for your kind patience tonight. Is there a motion of unanimous consent to adjourn for the evening?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Yes.
All righty. So if without objections, it is so ordered, and we are now adjourned. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you next month on the 12th.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.